I learn about you guys, the more I realize how unique you are. I think when I first heard about you guys, especially the Freedom brand, if we start there, I think the way you built the brand was completely unique in itself. If we just start on that aspect, so the value system that you guys put forth, the way you treat, your stakeholders internally, externally, is completely different than most brands in the region. And then as you start to unravel Freedom, you start to learn more and more about what makes you guys super unique. And you spoke about every piece. So I mean, you own your kitchen, you own your brand, you own your logistics, you own your tech, you own your customers, right? So that's kind of super unique. And why was that fundamental to the business model, especially at that time? Because it was kind of unique.
What was interesting is the connectivity with the customer. When you're in the delivery business, if you're a brand, right, and there's a difference between a brand and somebody that makes food.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in a dark kitchen, if you just want to make food in a sort of a cafeteria style where you can just order food online, then that's a different discussion. But your value add is fairly limited, and that wasn't the business that we were in. We were in a lifestyle brand business, right? It's important to us. The why and the how is almost as important as the what. The what is almost perfunctory. We think our food is good and we work hard at that every day. We think our service is good and we work hard at that every day. But for me, that's perfunctory. We have to be good at those things.
Yeah.
I don't think we get points for that. But we also, there's certain things that we care about and the way that we'd like to do business and the reasons we were in business, and those became just as important. So we think it's super important that we are able to communicate with our customers directly on that front. It's really hard to compete on just price and my food's better. I mean, we're very proud of our food, but everybody says their food's better. Everybody says their service is better. But it can't all be true, right? I mean, and frankly, customers, it's not for me to say it. It's for customers to tell us that you're good at those things, right? It's not for me to tell somebody. That's for them to tell us. But what we'd like to do is connect with our customers in a way that is different about things that that we care about, that they might care about, and be able to do something with our business and our platform beyond just selling pizza or poke or salads or whatever the case may be.
But arguably, a lot of people would have argued kind of the opposite in the sense that, fine, okay, on the brand side, I think everyone agrees with you. But if you have kind of an asset-heavy kind of operation where you own every piece end to end the way you guys do, a lot of people would say that it's not necessarily scalable, especially for a smaller company. But your definition of scalability is completely different. And that's what I'm starting to learn more and more, is that the narrative so far of all these kind of aggregators is we bring you scalability, we give you access to all these customers, we do all the heavy lifting, all you got to do is make your food, and that's what you guys are good at. Now, your argument is probably that's not very scalable, and we're seeing it, right? In the economics. But what made you really believe in that business model? Because I look at it and I say, man, are you a restaurant? Are you a tech company? Are you an operations logistics company? Or are you all the above? And that's
I'm so glad you're perplexed because it's true, because we spent a lot of time building out on that platform. And the simple reality is, in my view, that if you can choose to be one or the other, but if you're the other, you work for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. And you are certainly, you don't have a direct connection with your customer. You don't have control of the environment. My job's not done until our great food, our healthier, better for you food is at your door in better shape than it was when it left our door. And our driver, and our connectivity is really our driver and our tech, right? Those are our key touch points with our customers. So it's important that we own that entire value chain. It's, a lot of people think, well, it was good when it went out the door. Well, it doesn't matter, because, and if you use a third party and they screw up your order, they don't handle it properly. There's a lot that goes into good delivery, professional delivery. If you don't do that, then your customers, you can blame the third parties, but you gave it to them, you selected them, and I don't believe my job's done until the food arrives correctly and directly with our customers.
Yeah, so obviously you understand branding and you understand the sum total of all the experiences is what creates a brand and all that stuff. But is it foresight? Like how do you kind of look at the industry? I mean, having seen that Talabat and Zomato and Careem Now and Deliveroo, all these guys have been extremely successful in building these platforms and these aggregators, getting thousands and thousands of restaurants on there. Obviously now we know that the economics for the restaurants is super difficult to manage, very difficult to sustain, etc. And you're not in that position today because of that foresight. But how come the industry had the rug pulled out from under them? How come that happened? I mean, if you were able to see it happening and you understood the value of what food experiences should be, how come nobody else saw it? why are we in this position today?
Well, I'd like to say that I knew what was going to happen, but it wasn't the case. We were in this industry and we wanted to do it better, right?
Yeah.
We understood our business, what our business model and our objectives were. That's why I'm very skeptical of third-party delivery, because I fundamentally don't believe in their business models, because I believe they solved one of three problems. They solved the problem that the customer wants delivery, right, and convenience, right? So, and that's very important. And our industry, like most industries before that have been disrupted, had no idea or didn't care or thought their job was just to make food, right? Which I don't believe that to be the case today, right? They solved one problem for the customer. They don't make money. The restaurants don't make money at this, and they don't make money. Right, so it makes you wonder. So for me, delivery is a cost center. We never viewed it as a profit center. It is a pure cost center. If you look at what Amazon got into Amazon restaurants, right? Yeah. 8 months later, they shut it down, and then they set up a program for their own employees to go away and set up their own businesses for last mile delivery, because last mile delivery is a dog. It is not a profit center. It will never be a profit center without some sort of infrastructure or technological solution that is arguably 5 or 10 years away at best, right? So if you accept that, then that means there's not enough value in the value chain for everybody to play. So the only way that they can, what's interesting is the only way they can actually make money is if they have pricing control, right? And to get price control, you actually have to have an oligopoly or a monopoly. And you can start to see governments around the world. The Amazon deal with Deliveroo was blocked, right? The takeaway deal is in the UK is also being investigated. Yeah. So the interesting conundrum that they're in is they need scale and price to get price control. They need inordinate scale to get price control. And if they get price control, the consumer's going to suffer. And I would argue the consumer's already suffering. And so what's interesting is if you look in the US, people are starting to reject, actually the overall, all of the players together, first of all, they're all still there. So yeah. There's still 5 major players in the US, right? They're competing head to head. None of them make money, all right? And the governments are cracking down and making their lives more difficult, because, and rightfully so, because the idea of the gig worker is completely unprotected. So their costs are only going up. They haven't managed to win the battle for competition. With the exception of Uber, nobody's gone public, and it doesn't look like anyone's going public for a while. Funding is dried up. That fast money that was in the sector is gone. SoftBank is a cautionary tale today, and probably largely responsible for a lot of this. Yeah. Sorry, SoftBank, but that seems to be the case.
That's true.
So
true.
The question becomes, where do they go from here, right? Yeah. And so what I see now is I see a bunch of drowning swimmers. These are all people that are desperate to survive. The restaurant players are basically cannon fodder. They're collateral damage, because they need the restaurants to get the customers. And let's be honest, they're trying to get the data, right? I mean, that's what this whole battle's about. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question. I can't even remember what it was, but
That's okay.
I was on a flow, so I just kept going. So.
No, go for it, man. So I mean, on that note, right? Like, you're starting to see, the Delivery Hero and Talabat kind of invest in Kitopi and stuff, right? So I think they're trying to fix that problem by actively, going vertically.
With your very customers, right? So Sweetheart Kitchen, so clever. Well, Sweetheart Kitchen is owned by Delivery Hero, exactly. Right? Who owns Talabat, Zomato, and KRUSH, right? Yeah. So as a restaurateur, now, I want to be clear. We are not very dependent on any of these guys. So I'm speaking sort of in the sense of an industry,
in a unique position
of the world, right? I'm a student of this industry.
Sure.
But Deliveroo are operating restaurants in the UK. I mean, so it's really, they're using the data that they have to compete with the very people that are already paying them. So the question becomes, who is your customer?
Exactly.
Right? And you can't, and it can't be everybody, right? You can't say to me, and the issue of the customer data, and it's the one thing our industry doesn't get ever, is that you need to have a direct relationship with your customer. That's the only foil you have against third party, because you've allowed somebody to be between you and your customer, right? So if you don't get the data, then you're dependent. And if you're dependent, you have no leverage or no control, and and I think there's this idea, well, we'll get them to lower fees and we'll get them to do all these things. They're going to do what they want. because
Absolutely.
they own your customer.
They control the supply and the demand.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
But as well, and that the only way out is to have an alternative, right? If you offer an alternative to that, and we do it because we want to have a relationship with our customer. That's why we do it. But it's also defensive against these types of players, right? Because so I mean, almost 60% of our orders come in through our own platform, right? Which which gives us leverage. If you don't have that, you'll never have leverage.